Richmond. Number 5, Muntasim Al-Hajaji. Number 10, Jake Erlich. Number 2, Mark Elia. Number 12, John Avazoglu. And number 3, Jacob Greenberg. Head coach, Josh Ford. At this time, we ask that you please rise and remove your hats as we honor America with the playing of our national anthem. Thank you, and good luck to both teams.
Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome here inside East Gymnasium for game number 2 of day number 2 here in the consolation round as Fort Lee will play host to Passaic. Passaic 1-3 on the season, coming off a 53-42 loss against Old Tappan. Fort Lee lost to North Bergen 41-36 in yesterday's first round action. Hi, everybody. I'm Dan Long. So glad that he could join us here courtside inside East Gymnasium, as each of these teams looking to win and advance to take on Wayne Valley, who was victorious in their first game of the tournament just prior to the start of this game. They defeated Memorial 55-44. So the winner of game number 2 of this one will have a date on Tuesday with Wayne Valley. Fort Lee will start on offense, trying to establish it down low. A scramble ensues between a couple of players, and each player falls down, and we play on. No foul. And there's going to be a launch 3 attempt that time. No good by Alexander Paniagua Aquino. Aquino misfiring on that one. Here's Jacob Greenberg. Greenberg had 14 points to lead Fort Lee against North Bergen. Fort Lee committed over 20 turnovers in that loss and were really bad from the foul line as well. That cost him in that eventual 41-36 defeat. As Passaic will try to get it down the floor as quickly as possible all throughout the course of today's ballgame. They want to beat this half-court defense down the floor and get easy and early buckets in transition. Passaic was held to 42 points by Old Tappan in that loss yesterday in the first game of this tournament. Here's Marvin Torres, the point guard, getting it over to the near side of Makai Williams. Torres had 4 points yesterday. And that's going to be a 3-second call against Passaic. Too long inside the lane. And that's going to be a turnover, giving possession back over to Fort Lee. Fort Lee is led by proud alum Josh Ford, class of 2014, in his second season in charge of his alma mater. Paul Pamakala is the head coach of the Indians of Passaic High School. Al-Hajaji was giving it up. Elia getting it over to Jacob Greenberg. Avazoglu. John Avazoglu with a double team coming to him. Here's Ehrlich for a high arcing 3 in the corner, no good. Al-Hajaji skying high for the offensive rebound. Ilya across the lane, hangs up in the air and left it short. Good interior defense by Passaic in the open floor. Robinson getting it along here top side. Long range three connected by Marvin Torres. Torres knocks down the triple, and it's the first 3 points of the game for either team. This Passaic team has only connected on 12 made threes on the season coming into today's action. Ehrlich, nice move to the rim. Spin around shot is good. Jake Ehrlich had 5 quick points in yesterday's game, but that were his only points of the contest. Had 5 points in the first quarter, and then was mired in some foul and shooting difficulty. Worked around the perimeter. Here's Torres again, outletting it, a low pass over to Williams. Williams again, faking like he's going to set and fire from deep. Active zone look here for Coach Ford and the Bridgemen on defense. Passaic not really attacking just yet. Here's another look from three, no good. Offensive rebound by Aquino inside, no good again. And now Ehrlich with the rebound underneath. Outlet the other way. Al-Hajaji getting it up top to Greenberg. Greenberg sets and fires alone from three, no good. Halfway in and out. Rebounded by Torres. Torres pushing the pace. Here's Robinson. Closed off on the baseline. Good defense there by Al-Hajaji. Lots pass inside for Aquino in the midst of 3 different black-clad defenders. Long range three on the near side by Robinson. No good. Deflected off of the face of Ehrlich, and it leads to the ensuing putback, that time by Makai Williams. 5-2 lead for Passaic. Unlucky circumstance there for Fort Lee. They got the rebound, but then it deflected off of the face of one of their players and went right back into the waiting hands of Makai Williams right in front of the hoop. Ibizoglu tried a hook pass, but it was anticipated and intercepted, and it leads to a lay-in the other way for Jaheim Robinson. Robinson has now given Passaic an early 5-point advantage at 7-2. Greenberg finding Ilya, crossing across the middle. Ehrlich. Al-Hajaji. And that's going to be a push foul whistled against the Indians. That's going to be the first foul of the game for either team with 3:42 left to go past the midway point of the first quarter. As that foul will be charged against Marvin Torres, his first. Abdel Sadie has come into the game for the first time for Coach Ford and Fort Lee. Ehrlich sets and fires and connects on a 3-point shot in the far corner. So just like yesterday, Jake Ehrlich off to a hot start in this one. He's got 5 early points, all 5 of Fort Lee's points in the first quarter. 7-5 lead now for Passaic. Outlet pass is deflected away by Sadie. Jaheim Robinson will send it back into Makai Williams. Inside, and drawing the contact after he made his way to the rim is Robinson. So the foul is going to be whistled against Fort Lee, and that will send number 4, Jaheim Robinson, the 5'8 junior, to the foul line to shoot 2. He had 4 points yesterday against Oltapan, and a season best 15 points in a win against Passaic Valley. And Robinson will rattle in the first foul shot. He's got 3 in the game. And Robinson knocks in a pair. These two teams met in the opening round of last year's Jack Riley Holiday Tournament. That was won by Passaic. Rallied from behind to defeat the Bridgemen after Fort Lee had enjoyed a second half advantage. Ilya getting it to Greenberg. Greenberg is a physical player that likes to take it off the dribble and get to the rim. Jeremy Urena is guarding him. Greenberg muscles his way right through and he draws the contact, and that will send him to the foul line. So just as I mentioned, Jacob Greenberg had 11 foul shot attempts yesterday. The problem for Jacob, though, was that he only went 4 of 11 from the foul line in that loss against North Bergen. Jacob averaging just under 10 points per game, 9.7 points per contest for the Bridgemen. as he'll get his first chances at the foul line in this second game of the tournament. And that time, beautiful form on that first offering as Greenberg secures his first points of the afternoon. And he is perfect on both foul shot attempts. The leader of this team, the senior in this lineup for Coach Josh Ford. 9-7 lead for Passaic. Again, this 2-3 zone look for Fort Lee. Jrht challenged to take that long three, no good, but the rebound chased down by Nieves. That was part of the problem against North Bergen yesterday for the Bridgemen. Fort Lee was decimated on the offensive glass by the Bruins. And that's the challenge you have when you're playing in the 2-3 zone. You force a lot of long-range shots, but also you have to find a way to rebound. That time, Ehrlich did secure the loose ball rebound. Now Greenberg finds Ehrlich. Ehrlich trying to spin his way into the corner. Here's Sadie getting it up top to Greenberg. Greenberg getting pressured immediately by Robinson. Greenberg takes him right to the rim. Greenberg through the contact, no good. Ilya was trying to track down the loose ball rebound. Here's Robinson pushing the pace to Jrht, but it's going to be a traveling violation as Jrht might have shuffled his feet a little bit before he was coming in off of that far side wing. So a turnover negates what would have been a transition bucket for Passaic. 9-7 lead for the Indians, closing into the final 90 seconds of the first quarter. Al-Hajaji was trying to get that pass, lofted up to Mark Elia. Here's Greenberg trying to go backdoor for Ehrlich. Ehrlich had it across the lane but did not look to shoot. Sends it into the corner. Elia takes him right off the dribble, but that time the shot was left short, went out of bounds. Possession will stay with Fort Lee as Coach Ford happy with Mark Elia's effort to drive right to the rim. Just could not finish. Junior big man being counted on to be a big-time force inside, but then he gets called for the moving screen, did not set himself, and kind of hip-checked against Jrht, who was trying to get around him. Elia had a real tough quarter in the third yesterday. He picked up 4 fouls in the third quarter. Outletted to the long side. Here's a three-point look by Torres, no good. Rebounded inside by Ehrlich. Ehrlich looks to throw the ball down the court. Here's Ilya. And that outlet is intercepted by Robinson. Robinson trying to go coast to coast, and a good block there by Ehrlich. As Ehrlich times his jump perfectly to make sure that Jaheim Robinson was not going to have a clean look on the rim. So both teams trading possessions here with no points to show for it. Nice move right on the baseline, but overshooting the rim was Joshua Nieves. Elia to the near side with a left-hand dribble. Picks up his dribble, looks for an outlet. Gets it over to Sadie. Under 20 seconds left to go in the quarter here for Fort Lee. Looking to go backdoor. Greenberg could not get it cleanly on the baseline. Another turnover for the Bridgemen. As Passaic will pull it back out and cross the timeline here for the final shot of the quarter. Leading by 2. Nieves getting hounded from behind. Takes the shot to try to beat the buzzer. And it caroms off the front of the rim. No good. So after 8 minutes of action, it's Passaic leading Fort Lee by a score of 9-7 here in our second game of day 2 of the 2025 Jack Riley Holiday Tournament. We'd like to thank our proud sponsors as seen on your screen for all of their support and allowing us to broadcast for you the sights and sounds of this tournament and all athletic events here in the Fort Lee Athletics YouTube channel. I'd like to thank Fort Lee PBA, Cavazos Fairway Market, The Finest Construction, Fort Lee Soccer Club, Rusin and Daru Electric, Bridgeman Basketball Camp, Fort Lee VFW, Visions Federal Credit Union, It's Greek to Me, Connect One Bank, Bergen Black Sox, Senator Builders, UCS Strength and Speed, The Collective Salon, and the Fort Lee Education Association. Leading scorer in this game is Jake Ehrlich of Fort Lee. He's got a game-high 5. Jaheim Robinson leading the charge for Passaic with 4 points in that first quarter. Dan Long with you courtside here on the Fort Lee Athletics YouTube channel. Winner of this game has a matchup set on Tuesday to take on Wayne Valley, who was victorious in our first game of the day against Memorial. Passaic 1-3, Fort Lee 2-2 on the season. Hook pass, Jrht sets and fires from deep to the near side, barely grazed the rim, but the offensive putback inside. That time by Makai Williams. And once again, Passaic is just the hungrier team right now than the offensive glass, winning those 50-50 possessions and getting a couple of putbacks inside. Here's Sadie over to Greenberg. Greenberg takes it right across the lane, but left the layup a little short on that near side. But if you're Coach Ford, you want Greenberg to be aggressive. You want him to take it off the dribble and get to the rim, because even if he can't convert, you're getting most of the time opportunities to get to the foul line. Fort Lee only averaging 44 points per game to start this season. Points have been hard to come by. They've been playing good defense to keep them in games. Passaic also only averaging around 50 points per game this season. Cross-court pass, Jrht sets and fires, and Jrht's three, no good. Offensive rebound underneath by Liam Marsham. Here's Jrht again, tries his luck from the same spot on the floor. Another tip ball. Finding an opportunity inside and high off the glass and in by Robinson. 3 different opportunities on that offensive possession for Passaic off of misses. 13-7 lead. Elia hard across the lane and lays it high off the glass and good, as Passaic was trying to draw the second personal foul against Elia, but the offensive foul was not whistled. Again, Passaic trying to execute against this Fort Lee 2-3 zone. Jrht tries to go inside, tipped away. Good defense there in the interior for the Bridgemen. Here comes Greenberg in the open floor. Greenberg trying to get through, but then draws the charge against him was Jeremy Jrht. Jrht had set himself stationary for quite some time, and he saw Greenberg coming down the tracks and stood his ground and drew the foul. That's the first foul of the game against Jacob, as he'll take a seat. Greenberg picked up 2 quick personal fouls in the first quarter of the last game, but still was able to play through the foul trouble and have himself a good ball game, 14-point performance. Feeding the inside against the zone. Robinson's layup attempt lipped off the rim. First time we see Andrew Gedjakori into the game for the first time. Goes right to the rim, and he is denied. Now Jrht the other way. Up top to Marvin Torres. Jrht on the baseline, completely stuffed that time by Elia. Here's Jrht, leading scorer on this team for Passaic, averaging just over 13.3 points per game. Has yet to get in the score category just yet. 13-9 lead for Passaic in what has been a low-scoring affair, much like we saw in the first game of the tournament for Fort Lee. And Avazoglu in transition off the steal. John Avazoglu, the sophomore, with his first basket of the game. He averages 7 points per contest. Will that spark Fort Lee a bit? As the defense starting to really ramp it up. Jrht on the baseline, and that's going to be a whistle. And it looks like it's going to be a foul whistled against the Bridgemen on the hold. 4:18 left to go here in the second quarter. 13-11 lead for the Passaic Indians. Started off the season with back-to-back losses against Teaneck and DePaul. Then they bounced back with a win against Passaic Valley before losing yesterday here against Oltapan. That foul went against Matassim Al-Jahaji. Or Al-Jahaji, that is his first personal foul. At the halfway point of the second quarter. Jrht getting it back up top. Good penetration by Torres led to the pass to the wide open Nieves on the far block, and Joshua Nieves with his first 2 points of the day. 15-11, and that's all because of Torres' penetration drive as the point guard getting to the heart of the zone defense. Ilya blocked off. Ilya had 7 points against North Bergen. Here's a three-point shot on the near side. Evazoglu well, dials it up from deep. He's got 5 in a row here for Fort Lee. Richmond back to within 1. And Ureno with an immediate answer of his own. He finally connects there as Jeremy Ureno knocks in the three-point shot. Only the second made 3 of the game for Passaic. Trying to get it down low. Al-Hajaji getting it over to the far side to Sadie. Sadie's 3 no good. Here's Urena in the open floor. What a bullet pass that could not be controlled by teammate Makai Williams. It was too hot to handle. And if he held on to it, he was going to be all alone for an easy layup underneath the rim. 18-14 lead for Passaic after the Indian turnover. Under 3 minutes left to go here in the first half. Dan Long, so glad that you could join us here in the Fort Lee Athletics YouTube channel. Only the second home game of the season for Fort Lee. Ehrlich in the corner. Three-point shot, no good. Trying to buy a call with a contact, and the referee wasn't buying. Evazoglu got in front. A lot of contact between both teams. Nieves underneath, and a hard-earned bucket there for Nieves. Nieves with back-to-back buckets. He's got 4. 20-14 lead for Passaic. The officials are letting these teams play. The players have to adjust to how the game is being officiated now. They're not falling for the easy little fake kind of charges. You've got to earn it inside. And that 3 by Evazoglu eventually caroms off the hand of a teammate. Al-Hajaji goes over for Passaic. So Fort Lee a couple times have pulled to within 1, but Passaic has had an answer. Got on a 5-0 run, and now the pressure being administered right in front of the Fort Lee sideline. Possession will stay with the Indians. 1:54 left here in the first half. Corner 3 ball. Aquino shot rimmed in and out. Nobody was getting to the loose ball and eventually got tapped out. Luckily for Fort Lee. Sadie in the open floor. Ehrlich couldn't corral it, and another turnover for Fort Lee. And Fort Lee was fortunate because after that missed 3 in the near side corner, right in front of our vantage point of where we're situated here in East Gymnasium, the ball almost came all the way out to the shooter after the missed 3 because Fort Lee has just not been able to box out and get rebounds. That's what's been hurting them here and what hurt them against North Bergen. Turnover forced by the Fort Lee defense. 1:21 left to go before halftime. Fort Lee scored only 7 points in the first quarter, only 7 points here in the second. Their defense is keeping them in this game, though. Evazoglu. Gedjikori across the lane. Sadie from deep. No good. Ehrlich tried the tap-in attempt. No good. As Passaic will come out of the pack with it. Stripped away. Good defense again. Active hands by Sadie. Forced the turnover. Gedjikori tried a Euro step. Got fouled on his way up. And Andrew Gedjikori will head to the foul line to shoot 2 with 54.9 seconds left to go in the second. Trying to pull Fort Lee a little closer here before halftime. Jrht will hit on the first foul shot attempt, his first point of the afternoon. He was scoreless yesterday against North Bergen, had a season-high 8 points in the win on the road against Bergenfield back on December 22nd. And Jrht makes the most of his time at the charity stripe. Hits on a pair of shots, 20-16. Passaic trying to get around the full court pressure. Into the corner it goes, right to the rim, and that's going to be a whistle for a foul as Liam Marsham was trying to attack up front. And Marsham, with his aggressive take to the rim, will earn a trip to the foul line. Stop the clock with 41.2 seconds left to go here in the second. And that is deadened off the back of the rim, no good. Al Hajaji was the one who picked up the foul. That is his second personal foul. Team's third for Fort Lee here in the quarter. And that is going to be a foul shot wiped off. A violation there. Might have been by the shooter as well. So despite the shot going through, there was a foul shot violation, so no point given. It remains a 4-point deficit for Fort Lee, 20-16. Jrht getting it over. Al Hajaji. And his pass is intercepted by Urena. Urena going up with it and finishes. Jeremy Urena with 5 points here in the second quarter. 6-point lead for Passaic with under 20 seconds left to go before halftime. Jrht trying to jump stop his way, and it's going to be an offensive foul against Fort Lee, playing with the free arm. And that's going to be the 14th foul against Fort Lee and the first foul of the game for Jrht. Under 10 seconds left to go. Fort Lee's got to be careful. Another foul would send Passaic to the foul line. Here's a long-range three just to beat the buzzer, no good. And that will end the first half of play with Passaic enjoying a 22-16 lead heading into halftime. Stick around, fans, as we'll be back for the start of the second half of play as you're watching exclusive broadcast coverage of the 2025 Jack Riley Holiday Tournament, courtesy of our proud sponsors on your screen and the Fort Lee Athletic Department. Welcome back, everybody, for the start of the second half here inside East Gymnasium. Passaic leading Fort Lee by a score of 22-16 at halftime. Passaic led 9-7 after the first quarter of play, and then outscored the Bridgman 13-9 in that second quarter as well to extend their lead heading into the second half of play. Dan Long with you here courtside on the Fort Lee Athletics YouTube channel. Taking a look at the leading scorers for the teams. Jake Ehrlich and John Avazoglu each with 5 points apiece to lead the offense for Fort Lee. While on the other side for Passaic, they were led by Jaheim Robinson, 6 points. As we are underway in the start of the second half, Fort Lee in their home black uniforms with the orange numerals outlined in white. Passaic designated as the road team here today in their white uniforms with the red numerals outlined in navy. Turnovers again plaguing Fort Lee. Have not really been able to get any semblance of consistent offense. They want to change that. Avazoglu's 3, no good to the near side. Tracked down by Williams. Passaic has been benefiting from their hustle on this end of the floor on offense. Well, they haven't been really good in terms of connecting consistently on their shots. It's been the follow-up attempts, third and fourth efforts even sometimes on possessions thanks to their offensive rebounding prowess that have gotten them extra possessions and more points inside. And speaking of points inside, that's a feed to Makai Williams, as Williams, one of the smaller players on the floor, found his way inside for the 2. Makai Williams up to 6 points here in the afternoon. Largest deficit of the game for Fort Lee at 8. Nice post move inside, but throwing up the wild shot was Al-Hajaji. And in the open floor the other way, there goes Jaheim Robinson. Robinson with a game-high 8. As Josh Ford is asking for a timeout from the official. And timeout taken with 6:44 left to go here in the third quarter. As Passaic has come out of the gate quickly here to begin the third. And they've now stretched their lead to a 26-16 margin. Again, we'd like to thank all the proud sponsors of our broadcast coverage. Fort Lee PBA, Cafaso's Fairway Market, The Finest Construction, Fort Lee Soccer Club, Rusin and DeRue Electric, Bridgman Basketball Camp, Fort Lee VFW, Visions Federal Credit Union, It's Greek to Me, Connect One Bank, Bergen Black Sox, Senator Builders, the UCS Strength and Speed, Collective Salon, and the Fort Lee Education Association. Last season, Passaic went 5-8, 18 overall. They went 1-2 in this tournament with their lone win coming against Fort Lee in the first game before they lost to Memorial and Wayne Valley. A win here for Passaic would set up a matchup against the Indians of Wayne Valley in an all-Passaic County matchup. On Tuesday, a loss here for Fort Lee would set them up with a matchup against Memorial in the first game on Tuesday. Elia, strong on the ball, tried to go right down the middle, and he rumbled his way right into Urena, who once again set himself and sacrificed the body for the offensive foul. That's the second time Urena has drawn an offensive foul against a Fort Lee player. He did so against Jacob Greenberg back in the first half. Passaic building its confidence up. Here's Urena after making the defensive play, went hard to the rim. Coach Pamikala was wondering where the contact was in the no call. Avazoglu quickly launches up a shot, no good, and it's last touch out of bounds. They're going to say last touch off of Fort Lee. So possession will go back over to Passaic. Here's Jaheim Robinson. Giving up top to Torres. Inside it goes to Josh Nieves. And Passaic starting to pull away here in the start of this second half. What was a 6-point lead at halftime has now ballooned to 12. A 6-0 spurt to start off the third quarter for the Indians. And that time, Jacob Greenberg doing what he does best, putting his head down, getting right to the rim, drawing the contact. And now we'll have his sights set on increasing his point total here at the foul line. Robinson got called for the foul. That is his second personal, team's first of the third quarter. As Greenberg will swish home the foul shot. He's perfect 3 for 3 at the foul line in this game. In the last game, Fort Lee, in addition to turning it over 20 times, shot only 6 for 15 at the foul line, 40%. And Greenberg has made his changes at the foul line here, and he has gone a perfect 4 for 4, accounting for all 4 of his points. First points of the second half for the Bridgemen. 28-18, their deficit. And a timeout's going to be called for by Passaic because they saw a potential turnover happening right in front of Coach Pamakala and his bench. So a timeout on the floor here for the Indians. Fort Lee lost in their matchup against Passaic last year, 62-60. Their 2 losses last year, as I mentioned on the broadcast yesterday, were heartbreaking affairs by a combined 3 points. They then lost, Fort Lee did, their final game of the tournament. They lost by 1 against Riverdale in a game where Fort Lee seemingly had it in full control with double-digit advantage in the fourth quarter. 5:43 left to go here in the third. 28-18 lead for Passaic. Give and go, and that pass off the mark. Was it deemed to be deflected off of Fort Lee last? And it looks like that's the case. So it's going to be possession still staying with Passaic after they were trying to go with a backdoor look. Torres will trigger the restart with the inbound. They'll throw it up top to Jrht. Ilya covering him. Fort Lee extending their defense now, man-to-man, no longer in that zone. Here's Torres. Switched up, Ilya now covering him. Sadie. That time it's going to be a traveling call. It looked like it was just simply a couple of players that were tied up with their feet. No trip call. And that's where Torres lost his balance and led to the turnover. Fort Lee trying to make a run here to pull within striking distance. They're down by 10. Abdel Sadie. Ilya. After Robinson nearly timed it perfectly. Backdoor cut by Greenberg. Greenberg just throws it up, and it's going to be whistled as a jump ball situation underneath. And with that loose ball tie-up, it's going to be possession going back over to Passaic. So Passaic again frustrating Fort Lee mightily here on offense in this game. Williams, double teamed, tries to get out of trouble. Nearly led to the turnover. Jrht gets it the other way, short on the layup attempt. Nieves with 2 different Bridgemen holding on to the basketball, and that's going to elicit a whistle, and Fort Lee will have the possession arrow in their favor this time, with possession going back over to the Bridgemen. 4:49 left to go here in the third. Both teams trading violations and turnovers. Backdoor look. Good look at that. And that's going to be a hard take to the rim by Andrew Gejikori. And Gejikori will now earn a chance to, once again, make do at the foul line where he was 2 for 2 in the first half. Great feed that time by Abdel Sadie to find his teammate cutting backdoor on the baseline. First miss at the foul line here today for Gejikori and for Fort Lee. They had been perfect 6 for 6 at the foul line before that miss. Second foul shot also no good. Ilya will track it down. Jacob Greenberg. Gejikori picks up the dribble, outlets it over to Sadie. Now up top to Ehrlich. Ehrlich had the quick 5 points once again in the first quarter, but has been scoreless since. Ilya trying to go one-on-one, draws and dishes, and there's Ehrlich for 3, no good. Fight for the loose ball inside. Gejikori gets blocked from behind, and Ilya gets tied up inside, and possession arrow will once again give possession back over to Passaic. Passaic has been active with their hands. They're been getting all basketball and tying up Fort Lee inside. Nice take right down the middle, and scoop layup attempt no good by Joshua Nieves. There's been a lid on both rims in the last couple of minutes of this quarter. Not a lot to talk about here offensively. A lot of defense. Greenberg, nice spin move inside, but too strong on the layup attempt. Jrht snatches down the board. Robinson kicks it out to Jrht. Jrht's three, too strong off the back iron. Getchakori diving on the floor, trying to save it for his teammate, but in doing so, throws it out of bounds, so possession will stay with Passaic. 3:21 left to go here in the third quarter. 28-18 lead for the Indians. Have outscored Fort Lee 6-2 so far here in the third. Jrht on the inbound. Trying to muscle up and does so against Greenberg. As Jeremy Jrht now up to 7 points here in this game. 30-18 lead for Passaic. Sadie sets and fires, no good. Jrht, he's doing everything on both ends of the floor now with another rebound. Jrht did not get the start here today for the Indians. And there's a nice dime drop there to Alexander Penagua Aquino. As Aquino was all by his lonesome underneath, got the easy assist and the easy layup there for number 13, and now a foul is whistled against Fort Lee. Fort Lee had a big win to start off the season on the road at Paramus, 51-47. They followed it up with a 59-50 win on the road against Bergenfield, but since then, the offense has just not been in form. They put up only 30 points in a loss on the road at Bergen Tech. As Avizoglu no good from three, and then were held to 36 points yesterday by North Bergen, and held to only 18 points so far in this game with 2.5 minutes left to go in the third. Torres handing it off. Aquino getting it up top, Jrht. Jrht drive and dish. Nice find underneath on the baseline. Nieves pays off the assist by Jrht. And Jeremy Jrht has been the best player on the floor for all players. 34-18. Passaic pulling away here in the third. Avizoglu, the three-point will not count. He shuffled his feet, and that's going to be a turnover against the Bridgemen with 1:56 left to go here in the third. Again, stay tuned for our next game, which will be the first semifinal of the day. It'll be a matchup featuring Randolph and Bergenfield. That'll be coming up in our third game of the day. Day 2 coverage here of the 2025 Jack Riley Holiday Tournament. Feed inside, and one finish. Aquino through the harm, gets the hoop, and now a chance at a three-point play. As the wheels starting to come off here for Fort Lee in the third quarter. Passaic has just found a way to cut inside the heart of this defense. As that foul went against Sadie. That'll be his first. Foul shot no good, but Jrht wins the putback and tried the fadeaway shot for good measure, no good. A steal again orchestrated by Passaic. Indians just wanted more right now. Inside on the scramble play, and eventually a foul is going to be whistled against Passaic. Good hustle to the basketball by Motassim Al-Hajjaji. Al-Hajjaji will head to the foul line to shoot two, looking for his first points of the game. Averaging around 10 points per game for Fort Lee, had 4 points against North Bergen yesterday. And he sinks the first foul shot. Had a season best 15 points in the win against Bergenfield. 36-19 lead for Passaic. Coming close to the end of the third quarter. And there's going to be a foul against Al-Hajjaji. Trying to race in after his own foul shot miss. Picks up the foul instead. That is his third personal, team's third. Swarming defense here for Fort Lee. Passaic was able to break the pressure, but they left the shot short. Here come the Bridgemen in the open floor, and Ehrlich gets it stolen away. Ehrlich laying on top of the Passaic player who's on top of the basketball. Man, they're going to deem that to be a jump ball. That's generous. As quite frankly, Ehrlich was draped on top of the Passaic player. That could have been easily a foul whistled against the Bridgeman junior. Fort Lee benefits on that call with the possession arrow giving them the ball. 59.5 seconds left to go in the third. Ehrlich getting it off to Avazoglu. And again, a reach-in foul against Passaic, and that's going to be the fifth team foul that'll send Fort Lee to the foul line. Second personal foul against Aquino in this one. John Avazoglu, 5 points in this game. Rattles in the first foul shot, his first point of the second half. He's now got 6. Leading scorer for Fort Lee this afternoon. As he drains a pair, he's got 7. 36-21 lead for Passaic. Closing into the final 50 seconds of the third quarter. Indians coming alive, widening the gap after it was a 6-point margin in their favor at halftime. Robinson with a nice crossover, went right to the rim and one. That was a highlight reel move by Jaheim Robinson. Started off with a killer crossover, got him the separation, and then he went through the contact and he finishes strong. Robinson now with 10 points in this game and a chance at a 3-point play. Ehrlich picked up the foul for Fort Lee. Foul shot no good. And it's going to be a foul whistled against Passaic, and that's going to once again send Fort Lee down the other side for foul shots of their own. .4 seconds left to go, and this is the last that Coach Pamakala wants his side to do. He loves the hustle, but you don't want to do these silly fouls that could just give free points to Fort Lee when you have this game really in control. And the first foul shot attempt by Al Hajaji was no good. He's now 1 of 3 at the foul line. Second foul shot is good. He's got 2 in the game. 38-22. Williams dribbles out of trouble, gets it up top to Robinson. Passaic being told to hold for one final shot of the quarter. 20 seconds left to go. Sadie with a nice steal. The pilfer and then the ensuing foul whistled against Passaic. As that's Makai Williams getting called for the foul. So again, Passaic really struggling just to finish off this quarter strongly. They're committing a ton of fouls, and they're sending Fort Lee back and forth to the foul line. As Sadie, with a nice-looking first foul shot attempt, cans that one. Fort Lee getting the majority of their points at the charity stripe in this quarter, as Sadie knocks in a pair. Well, foul shot attempts for Fort Lee in this third quarter alone. Take right down the middle for Passaic, no good. The putback attempt rattles in and out, 1 second left. And that's how the quarter will come to a close with Passaic on top by 14, 38-24. As the Indians coming alive in that third quarter as they outscore Fort Lee by a 16-8 margin to extend their 6-point halftime lead. Stick around as we'll be back for the start of the fourth quarter as you're watching coverage of the 2025 Jack Riley Holiday Tournament here on the Fort Lee Athletics YouTube channel. 38-24 lead for Passaic as we get underway the start of the fourth quarter here at East Gymnasium at Fort Lee High School. Passaic taking care of business in that third quarter, outscoring the Bridgman 16-8. Here's a kick out three in the near side, left short. Sadie with a rebound. All of the points for Fort Lee in that third quarter came on foul shots. They did not make a field goal. Here's a long outlet the other way, and again the layup is left short by Williams. So Passaic has had opportunities to really blow the doors off this game. They've not been able to do that. Ehrlich, a high arcing three, no good. Rebounded inside by Marsham. Again, our first semifinal will be coming up after this one has concluded. As the seas part once again, and finishing through the contact is Makai Williams. And Williams now up to 8 points. Randolph going to be taking on Bergenfield in our first semifinal. The second semifinal of the day will feature our fourth and last game of day number 2 coverage here at the Jack Riley Holiday Tournament, as that's going to be a matchup of the defending tournament champions Old Japan taking on North Bergen, who defeated Fort Lee last night. Foul shot no good that time, as that's going to be tipped out of bounds. Last touch off of Fort Lee. A couple of seasons ago, Passaic produced their first winning season since 2019 when they went 15-13. Advanced to the North 1 Group 4 sectional semis, where they eventually lost to East Orange. They had a great season a couple of years ago. And there's a high arcing three that is knocked down by Liam Marsham. Marsham's first made basket of the game. He's got 3, 43-24, largest lead of the game now for Passaic. The Indians trying to take down Fort Lee in back-to-back seasons here at this event. Had so many of the same company that have been part of this tournament for the last couple of years. North Bergen, Memorial, Passaic. Randolph, a new entrant this year. Old Japan, obviously the champions of last year. Nice take by Greenberg. Somehow fit his way through the host of humanity. And then a mistake made by Passaic. Will turn it over and give it right back over to Fort Lee. Alan Alter into the game for the first time, and he gets it right inside to the cutting Mark Ilya. Ilya with his 4th point of the game. (43-28). And Sadie with another steal. He's been impressive on defense, but then he gets it stolen away. As Torres with the pilfer went out of bounds. Last touch off of him. Here's Ehrlich for a 3 in the corner, no good. And Passaic breaks out the other way. Good outlet pass. Urena cutting down the floor off the assist from Nieves. Jeremy Urena, 9 points in the game. 45-28. 5:40 and counting left to go here in regulation. Ehrlich gets fouled from behind that time by Jaheim Robinson. For Robinson, that'll be his 3rd personal foul. Sadie, start and stop dribble. Ilya in the corner, high arcing 3. Urena, another big rebound, but he got it clawed right out of his hands by Greenberg. The basket won't count, as it's an offensive foul. Urena drew the contact once again against Greenberg. That is the 2nd time in this one that Greenberg has been too overly aggressive. He puts that shoulder down into the chest of the opponent. He's going to get called for that. He's got to adjust his game a little bit. Fort Lee had an opportunity to take a charge of their own, but again, they sidestepped And the ball goes out of bounds. It will be to the benefit of Fort Lee as they'll get the possession, but that's where you kind of see on one end, Passaic has been willing a couple of times throughout the course of this game to sacrifice their body. Fort Lee, you don't have a natural rim protector this year. You have to do those little things that can garner you possessions. Greenberg, great take to the rim that time. Made sure that he was not going to barrel down against somebody. Sidestepped the defender, had the layup, and now he's got 8. As that's tipped out of bounds. 45-30, the deficit facing Fort Lee. Can they mount a comeback here? Have to kind of kick it into gear. They really got to get it done on this end of the floor. That'll feed their offense. Nieves, oh, what a no-look pass. Finding Jrht underneath, who's very thankful for that dish. Josh Nieves with a no-look pass showing off the point guard skills for the center for the Indians. Drop-off pass was not a good one there for Fort Lee. Leads to the turnover. Jrht down the floor the other way. Hard contact at the rim by Ehrlich. And that'll be a foul that'll send Jrht to the foul line. Referee talking things over with Jake Ehrlich after a hard foul was whistled underneath, and that was the right call. And Ehrlich's got to be careful because then even afterwards he kind of shoved at the tail end of that play. You saw Ehrlich get into it with a couple of players with North Bergen near the end of the game. Obviously frustration mounts, but you have to be composed. As Jrht knocks in the foul shot, he's up to 12 points in this game, nearly at his per-game scoring average. And he rattles in a pair. He's got 13. So Passaic looks to be on their way to playing Wayne Valley tomorrow. Or I should say in game day 3 of this event, as there will not be any basketball action here at Fort Lee tomorrow. We'll have to wait another day. Ehrlich open in the corner for the 3, and he splashes it home. Jake Ehrlich's first point since the first quarter. He's got a pair of made threes. He's got 8 in the game now for Fort Lee. And that's going to be a turnover in the corner by Passaic. Loser of this game will play at 1 p.m. on December 30th against Memorial, as Fort Lee uncorks another 3. Jrht with another rebound. And down the floor the other way. Once again, it's going to be Robinson. He's got 12. 51-33. 3.5 minutes left to go in regulation. The Bridgemen in danger of suffering what will be their 3rd consecutive loss on the season after starting off 2-0. Ehrlich with a handoff that time to Alon Alter, the sophomore. But this is a young Fort Lee side that's still trying to find their identity, trying to find what could work in terms of their rotation, their offense. We saw in the first half their defense was doing a great job. They held Passaic to only 22 points. And it was a 6-point deficit for Fort Lee at the break, but then their defense got picked apart in the 3rd quarter. Ilya blocked inside again by Nieves. That's 2 rejections. Leads to the breakout the other way, and the layup no good that time by Robinson. Greenberg right down the middle of the lane, no good. And a quick breakout the other way. It's a track meet, and Passaic's going to win that matchup. Makai Williams found his way down the floor for the lay-in. Williams now up to 10 points. 20-point lead as now Fort Lee goes to its bench. Here's another breakout. Torres, no floor balance for Fort Lee as Torres will lay it in. And it's just easy bucket after easy bucket now for Passaic as they just beat Fort Lee down the floor. Greenberg trying to get it right down the middle. Rebounded inside by Nieves. Again, just a leak out the other way, and it's just layups all day here for Passaic. Another lay-in this time by Makai Williams. He's got 12. So Urena with 13, Williams with 12, Robinson with 12. Three-headed monster here for the Indians on their way to their second win of the season. Here's Ehrlich, and that's a rainmaker three. As Ehrlich connects on his third three of the game, he's got a game-high 11 for Fort Lee. Coming up on the final 90 seconds of the contest. And there's a three-point answer by Urena. Jeremy Urena up to 16 points in this contest. He's knocked in a pair of threes, and now wholesale changes being made by Passaic's head coach, Paul Pamakala, as he wants to empty his bench and get a couple of players into this game that maybe haven't been playing just yet, including Steven Lizardo, number 12. Aquino will come back in, number 13. Greenberg to the rim and gets denied with a block there by Urena coming from the blind side. Ehrlich again sets and fires. This time it's deep and it went off of a Passaic player underneath as Marsham actually even puts his arm up in the air and says, that was off me. One of the rare times you'll see an admission by a player that it actually was something that he did wrong. Ehrlich, hook pass, Ilya getting it top side. Here's a shot from up top. Shot is no good by Fort Lee, tracked down by Passaic. As Passaic getting down the floor and one. Makai Williams. I've been impressed at Passaic's ability with their small guards to hang in the air and to finish through the contact throughout the course of this game. And Williams has a chance at a three-point play. And Makai Williams will do just that, finish off the foul shot, 15 points. So it's going to be Wayne Valley versus Passaic. Those two teams not scheduled to meet one another in the regular season, so this will be the first time and maybe only time that they'll play this year, if not in the Passaic County tournament. 30 seconds left to go. And Fort Lee will have a matchup against Memorial awaiting them in the first game of the day on Tuesday. As Ilya extends his defense, Urena still dribbling it up. As Passaic just trying to play a game of keep away right now. Coach Pamakala telling them to hold on to the basketball, and that'll do it. 63-36 win over Fort Lee. A dominant second half performance by Passaic on their way to their first win of this tournament and their second win of the season. They move to 2-3. Fort Lee falls to 2-3, and again, Fort Lee will take on Memorial in the third and final day of this tournament of the 2025 Jack Riley Holiday Tournaments. So that'll do it for our first two games of the day. We invite you to join us for our third game. It will be the first semifinal of the tournament coming up after this one, as it's going to be Bergenfield taking on Randolph in our third game of the day. So for everybody here from East Gymnasium, I'm Dan Long saying so long, take care, and thanks for watching here on the Fort Lee Athletics YouTube channel.